Hello, this is Crystal Racing here with the report for the 2021 Mexico City Grand Prix. And Max Verstappen is your race winner, taking his ninth race victory of the season. Whilst, of course, Lewis Hamilton has still only won 5 races so far this year. Of course, Max Verstappen gets 10 out of 10 for his performance. Beat both Mercedes off the start finish line, blasted straight past them around the outside into turn 1 and never looked back. The rest was history. Max Verstappen cruised to an easy victory. He never looked under pressure. In fact, has he even heard of this? Heard of the word for pressure in English? Because of course he's Dutch. I don't think so. I don't even think it's a foreign word to him, the word pressure. Just as cool as ice. And when he came over the finish line for the checkered flag, it sounded like it was an afternoon nap for him because, I know Mercedes had us all startled yesterday when when he locked out the front row in Q3, but let's be honest, that was a minor aberration in the grand scheme of things. Second place, Lewis Hamilton, 9.5 out of 10. Got beat by Bottas in qualifying, but as it was, Bottas got tagged by Ricciardo at the first corner, and Hamilton was left alone to fight both Red Bulls. He beat Perez, but he didn't beat Verstappen. But to be frankly honest, with the way Verstappen's driving, it was almost like watching the Austrian and the steering Grand Prix all over again. Both Red Bulls miles faster. Red Bull Verstappen cruising to 2 easy victories there, with Mercedes being the best of the rest. Lewis did a great job holding off Perez towards the end, but in a sense, though, I mean, the thing that probably did get Lewis out of jail was the straight line speed of Mercedes, because let's be honest, in terms of general round pace, just the Mercedes just couldn't really keep up. It was just a lost battle, really. And now Lewis trails Max Verstappen by 19 points. Now let's look at the 4 final races of the year. The Sao Paulo Grand Prix, of course, the Interlagos track. I mean, Red Bull, the last time we went there, Max and Red Bull looked a lot quicker than Mercedes, to be honest, in the last 2 races we've done there. Then, of course, Qatar, we've got the new Losail track, which, of course, MotoGP tends to ride on. Very fast track, should favour Mercedes. Saudi Arabia, a new street track there. I know it's not. They haven't quite finished building it yet. I mean, they'll probably have to really double up the man hours to finish that track. But looks like it's going to be a Mercedes power track. And then of course Yas Marina, Abu Dhabi. That probably does look like a Mercedes track as well. But with the way Max Verstappen drives and the sort of miracle performances he can pull out under pressure. We saw it at France. We saw it at Kota 2 weeks ago. We saw it at Zandvoort. Don't count him out. He's got a 19-point lead. I mean, if he wins at least 2 of the last 4 races in this season, I think he's going to be world champion. And as long as, of course, the other 2 finish races he does not win, or at least second places, that's pretty much game, set, and match for Max. So, and then of course, third place, the home hero, Sergio Checo Perez. The crowd went wild when he got out of his car. It was like a home hero's welcome. Of course, it's his third consecutive podium finish of the season, and he is now only 20 points behind Bottas in the fight for third place in the driver's standings. Gotta say it, Perez once again looking very consistent, and I've got to say it, he really now does look like a Red Bull number 2 driver. He is now performing to the standards they require for a number 2 driver, and there's not much else for me to say, really. 4th place, and my personal driver of the day. Yes, I know I typed out Kimi driver of the day on Chassa HD's live chat, but really, Pierre Gasly for me was the driver of the day. Took advantage of the first lap fracas between Ricciardo and Bottas and other drivers behind him. Stayed in 4th place. banged in consistent lap times throughout the race, and once again, probably arguably one of the best drivers in the midfield. Do not tell me otherwise. 5th place, Charles Leclerc, 9 out of 10. Well, he did a good job today, but I have to say he did struggle a bit in the middle of the race with race pace, and he was forced to let Carlos Sainz pass to see if Sainz could get Gasly. Of course, Leclerc was given back 5th place towards the end when it became clear Gasly was too far ahead. 9 points for 6th place, Carlos Sainz. Once again, giving Charles a hard time. Where did they qualify? I mean, yes. And not only that, Carlos actually out-qualified Charles this weekend. Remarkable. Carlos Sainz is looking very handy as a number 2 driver at Ferrari. I think he's almost looking a bit too handy. Gotta watch out there. One day in the future there could be a big battle brewing between the pair of them. They're friends right now, but if they do get their hands on a championship contending car, things could get tasty in the next few years. 7th place, Sebastian Vettel, 9 out of 10. Great strategy by Aston Martin. Took advantage of first lap chaos, and Vettel did his usual job, and Vettel is looking back to his best again. 8th place, and of course, well, my second choice for driver today, Kimi Raikkonen. Now, he did make up a few places at the start, but, well, he actually did not make up any places at the start, but he did keep himself out of trouble, because, of course, Giovinazzi jumped ahead of him, but, of course, with Giovinazzi's terrible strategy, I mean, Kimi, once he got into the points, stayed there, kept in front of Fernando Alonso, who was giving him a bit of heat in the early laps, but Kimi kept his nose clean. There was no dramas like 2 weeks ago, and he got 4 points. Great job, Kimi. 9th place, Fernando Alonso, 8.5 out of 10. The LP was absolutely ridiculous. Had a terrible qualifying session. 15th and 16th. Of course, Fernando started 12th and Ocon started 19th thanks to all the engine penalties nonsense. But as it was, Alonso kept his nose clean at the first corner and got 2 points for it. 10th place, Lando Norris finished where he qualified, but of course he had to start in 18th due to his engine penalty change. Stayed away from all the dramas and nonsense. Outpaced Ricciardo during the race and got a point for it. So that's 8 out of 10 for me. 8.5 out of 10 for Alonso, if I didn't mention. And of course 9 out of 10 for Kimi. 9 out of 10 for Vettel. Just so we're clear. And of course the first of the non-point scorers, Antonio Giovinazzi, 7 out of 10. He was running it up in 7th place, but then of course he pitted on lap 17 ridiculously early. His tyres he couldn't really make the tyres last because, Alfa were asking way too much of Gio to make his tyres last for about 54 laps, and by the time he got up to P11, his tyres were gone, and frankly, it was just a lost cause, really. 7 out of 10. And you also got to realise he got out-qualified by Kimi this weekend, and Kimi's 1 lap pace was actually a lot better than Gio's all weekend round, which is quite unusual, but I have to say, as unlucky as Gio was this weekend, it does seem as if his prospects of a seat in F1 next season is looking terribly bleak, though. 12th place, Daniel Ricciardo, 6 out of 10. Ran into Bottas on the first corner, and then, of course, to rub the salt in the wound for Bottas, Ricciardo then proceeded to hold up Bottas for about the next 40 laps once they completed their pit stops for damage. Yeah. Don't really want to say much else. Of course, Ricciardo got beat by Norris yet again. Yeah, Ricciardo, you are in serious trouble now. You really are I know you out-qualified Norris in qualifying, but Norris didn't really attempt a proper final run in Q3 yesterday, so I'm not really sure that counts for much. 13th place, Esteban Ocon, 6 out of 10. Once again, I need to mention this, Esteban Ocon has a contract until 2024, but, you watch the way he drives and you think, that contract surely has a clause in it where there must be a performance clause in it which states, if you do not achieve these targets, we can cut your contract short because, again, another lame performance by the French youngster. Just, I don't know. I don't see what. How is he going to be that much of a good driver, Alpine, in the future? I don't get it. I mean, he got rejected by Mercedes because, I think they all realise George Russell is objectively a better driver than Ocon, and to be honest, Ocon is just bang average. I mean, in my opinion, he's no better than Stroll, which, again, there's a big irony in me saying that because Lance Stroll, of course, took his seat at Racing Point back in 2019. 15th place, Valtteri Bottas, 6 out of 10. Brilliant lap yesterday in qualifying. Got pole, but then made a terrible start off the line. Got put because he got overtaken by Hamilton and Verstappen. He then took it very cautiously into turn one, arguably too cautiously because, of course, Ricciardo clouted and spun him around. And then, of course, after having been stuck behind Ricciardo, he then made a second pit stop later on, which, of course, was a slow stop, just like his first stop. Let's be honest. If Bottas does not get a slow stop in his final race for Mercedes, something in the universe is fundamentally broken because Mercedes just don't really care about him. It's like, oh, well, he's our number 2 driver. If we screw up his pit stops, who cares? It's only Valtteri. Who cares, really, eh? 16th place, George Russell, 7 out of 10. Balls running in the points in the first 10 laps, but inevitably, of course, the Williams was ate up his tyres too quickly, and Russell dropped down the order, and that's all she wrote. 17th place, Nicholas Latifi, 7 out of 10. I don't care. 18th place, Nikita Mazepin, 7 out of 10, which is probably one of the highest scores I've given him this season because, I think he was running P11 after the first lap calamities, and gotta say it, he did a good job defending and holding on to his position for quite a few laps, and he didn't hit anyone. I suppose I know that sounds patronising, but he actually showed some decent racecraft. And, but of course, inevitably, he ended up finishing last and 2 laps down, so there's not much to say. But at least he put in a good effort today. And then, of course, the 2 retirees, Mick Schumacher and Yuki Tsunoda, 2 unfortunate victims when they got clouted in behind by Esteban Ocon. Ocon, you really are an idiot, by the way. But both got tagged and both of their cars had too much damage for them to continue, and they were forced to park on the side of the road as a result. Schumacher and Tsunoda, I am not going to give either of those drivers a rating. And of course, how can I forget, Yuki Tsunoda was at the wrong end of a few comments by Christian Horner after yesterday's qualifying calamity, where of course Yuki went off the line, kind of spat out too much dirt in the path of both Perez and Verstappen, ruining their final runs. It was a rookie error, but for Christian Horner to say, oh, we got Tsunoda, pretty bang out of order. But having said that, though, Yuki Tsunoda, he's safe for next year, but I think we're all aware he would like to go into next year having produced a few decent performances here and there, and getting taken out on the first lap really didn't help, to be honest. I don't think he could have done anything about Ocon whacking in behind him. But of course, the first lap, of course, they can pretty much point the finger at Ricciardo for causing all that nonsense in the first lap. Not really. I know I usually would give out the Reject of the Day award, but, because of the long run down to turn one, it's kind of quite hard for drivers to avoid hitting each other. And it wasn't like Ricciardo, broke too late or did anything ridiculously stupid. If anything, Bottas was just a little bit too tentative. So if you enjoyed this review, please subscribe to Crystal Racing, and I'll see you again next time.